What's up, guys? This is Heiss, and welcome to the final of Mark's Madness, the Leighton-inspired, Ellis done-all-the-work, ridiculous tournament of what is the best choo-choo that is totally not the one that we personally, the three of us agree is our favorite.
Definitely
totally
not.
Objective.
Facts
Definitely
only,
not.
Objective only.
Yep.
It's fine.
This is a documentary, really.
It really is a documentary. It's got all of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Today we're going to do the
Definitely.
quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals all in one go. It's the end of the tournament, and we're going to be rocking through it. So
I feel like a couple of these are going to go really quick.
yeah, some of these we realized that some of the matchups, yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
So we've been serious about this. Can we, going forward, because we're getting pretty absurd. I mean, we're having Montezuma go up against Swergenberg.
They don't know that yet.
Let's make this more personal.
Oh boy.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what?
Let's throw the objectivity we've been clearly displaying out the window, and let's let our feelings discuss some more of these things.
And if you say the wrong thing, Leighton's gonna come into your house.
Serious. He's going to make it really personal.
It's fine. Steam jets forward to scare cattle and or to make Leighton feel personal.
That's all.
Before we get started here, once again, huge thank you to Admiral Ellis himself, who is our host. He is the man that makes the trading cards, all the things. Make sure you check out his channel. Ellis does a lot of cool things. So, on to that, we have match number 25 of the tournament. And yes, it is Montezuma versus Vance Richenberg. Oh god, this is not the funniest matchup that could possibly happen, but it's pretty close.
Not far off.
So, who would win in a fight?
Gee.
Do we even need to answer that? Montezuma fits in the 1225's firebox, probably.
No. Here's what's going on: is that this is like an elephant fighting a mouse.
Oh, maybe 1225 gets really scared of seeing how small
I see.
because it thinks that Montezuma's a piece of dirt.
That or 1225 rolls over laughing because it just can't. And then,
I'm pretty sure
Has a heart attack, dies. Victory, Montezuma.
I'm pretty sure that if Montezuma and the 1225 were parked next to each other, and you open the throttle on the 1225 with the cylinder cocks open, it would roll the Montezuma over.
Blows it away.
It literally, the cab would fly off, and it would fly away in the wind like a paper bag.
How much coal does the 1225 have or carry?
More than the weight of the locomotive of the Montezuma.
I'm wondering if it's
tons.
or twice the Montezuma. Not quite, but
Yeah, 25 tons. This is 22 tons. This is 25,000 pounds. The engine, the tender's probably about 8,000. But yeah, that's real depressing. It's fine.
Yeah.
Which was a better engine for its purpose? The 1225.
1225.
Which one is more cursed? Neither of them is terribly cursed. I guess maybe Montezuma because it's a 240, but that's
1225's haunted. It has the hobo ghost.
Oh, that's true. Hobo
He said what I
ghost.
was thinking.
Yes.
You're a doubter!
Why?
Girl.
Why would you pick either one? I mean, I've never been more conflicted in my life in this moment.
I've got to pick the 1225. I love the Montezuma. I'm not picking the favorite of the 1225, but it's farcical to pick the Montezuma.
It is.
I'm picking the Montezuma because I'm next to a 3-foot gauge circle of track where it could go wee.
That's true.
Wee!
The
What the fuck am I gonna do with a Vince Richenberg shirt?
other than start a mildly successful railroad
lots
in
of
Denver.
things, but no things that are, as they would say, advertiser friendly.
Well then.
Hey man, we already talked about Leighton and the steam jets over here, okay?
Oof, ooh.
Also, we knocked out the NWJ last episode.
That is true.
Oh,
the J's
true.
been knocked out, but it wasn't streamlined, so that would have hurt. You would have needed more lube. Anyway, sorry, Mom. Moving on.
Zoomer definitely gets the, Fabergé egg point.
It does.
It's very pretty by comparison.
Yes. Whereas the Van Swergenberg is a
Very cool.
big brick house.
Is
literally.
a love letter to utilitarianism, and I love it.
Right, yeah. And make a point of this. Before we decided that we wanted to build Montezuma, I'm not a huge fan of the super old stuff. Sorry, Dan. Sorry, Andrew. Sorry, Josh. All ya. I prefer, our big slobber bucket, dumb, happy, smiley face, covered in its own K37. But the more and more I've looked at this thing and thought about it and kind of the romance of the early part of the railroad, like, number one, like, I can pick it on that kind of grounds, but it is kind of farcical, and it's very, watery-eyed, like mushy if you pick Montezuma to me. Sorry, Leighton, you and your personal and your steam jets. But would Brett fit in this locomotive? Yes. No.
One of them.
Yeah.
It's finally come into play. I guess, Ellis, I know that Montezuma's got 4. This has 20-something, yes?
So Montezuma has 13 points.
Oh, 13 points.
Yeah, a whole 13 points. Gets most of those off of weight stats. The only, weird jump-in point here is that it gets the point for tubes only because it has 1.5-inch tubes. So they're smaller and you can pack them in more. It actually, incidentally, it also has more of them. It has 100 versus 73.
Because we're talking tubes, not tubes and flues.
Bergenberg has 202 3.5-inch flues.
Montezuma has one big flue. It just has a jacket around it and a bunch of other tubes inside of it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what superheating means, Brett.
Super duper heating. As mentioned, the 1225 has a perfect 4 for a factor of adhesion. Montezuma has 5.73.
Zuma is terrible.
It's almost like getting boiler pressure out of something that Scratch's head, I don't know, has 2 single lap seams in the firebox.
Water from stone.
I wasn't going to mention boiler pressure, but I was going to mention the tractive effort, which is 3580 for Montezuma, and 69,368 for 1225.
How much does
1225
weigh?
makes more air pressure than Montezuma has in its boiler.
How much does 1225 weigh?
1225, just engine or engine and tender?
Engine and tender,
yes.
The whole thing.
Engine and tender, 805,900 pounds.
There is a distinct chance that Montezuma could not move the 1225. Not even, in a fight. Just,
it's 1225 on rollers, isn't it?
Is sitting there.
On rollers. I think it could move it.
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance. I could look up the tonnage math. I could look up the tonnage math. There is a chance that she couldn't do it. Which is hilarious.
Sad.
There's a reason we're going to upgrade
He's sad, but he's through.
Yeah. So, with that, I guess we have to vote.
Zuma.
Work.
You're gonna put this evil on me? You too?
Yep.
You're gonna put this evil on me right now?
Do it.
People are here for your reactions. It's the brand.
I have 2 options. My options are be reasonable and be true, or watch Michigan explode.
Explode. Explode. Explode.
I just want to see Montezuma go up against the AC9, so Montezuma.
Boy. No, next matchup.
Next matchup.
All right.
Oh, man.
You can do that to me. Listen, at least I have a full stat sheet for Montezuma. Thanks, Mark.
Match 26. The AC9 versus the Olton Hall. The AC9, hands down, no ifs, ands, or but one of the engines. The meme of the Spanish Inquisition stealing the front engine of this would still beat the Olton Hall in a fight. Which one was a better engine for its purpose?
Probably the Hall.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say it's probably a wash, but yeah.
The Halls, Halls still exist.
They're cool.
That's true, but that's just because, war and scrap and things and stuff and words.
Yeah.
Shrug.
No, they survived the war.
That's true. But still, there was another war. We've always been at war with East Asia.
Always
Haven't you
a
been paying
war.
attention?
Yeah.
Anyway, why would you pick either one? Well, this is Harry Potter Train, legally distinct, but this is the... say the line,
But
Brett.
it's a streamlined articulated.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah. And would Brett fit in this locomotive? You have a better chance of fitting in this than this, but you still probably fit in both.
We could do like a Russian nesting doll thing. I fit in the Olton Hall, and then the Olton Hall fits in the AC9.
Pretty much. Oh.
Perfect.
Ellis, give us the stats.
Stats.
That was a fast run to the stats.
It's quick.
I feel like it's a foregone conclusion here. I mean,
hi, Britain.
This is going.
We were not expecting Britain to make it to the quarterfinals. Congratulations. Here's your participation trophy.
Anyway, the 38-11 has 23 points against Olton Hall's 14. Should surprise absolutely nobody there. Once again, the smaller engine does sneak in a point by having smaller tubes and more of them.
Because this is superheated. Is this superheated?
Yeah. They're both superheated, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, it is about 260 square feet of superheating surface against 2,800, but
it's fine.
You know,
small difference.
They're both superheated.
That has the superheating capacity of 10 of those.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Big chooch.
Big chooch. 4,200 gallons of water versus 22,120. Total engine and tender weight of 269,000 versus 1,090,000 pounds for the AC9.
I would be willing to bet you that the tender of this locomotive would not, if you emptied the water from the tender of the Olton Hall into the AC9, it would not show up on the water glass.
Yeah. I think it wouldn't be close.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have no idea what the volume of that boiler is, but I bet you it's close to 10,000 gallons.
Wait a minute.
Might.
How many British, mineral wagons of coal would it take to fill up the AC9? And can Olton Hall haul that number of cars?
Well, it's 28 tons of coal to fill up the AC9. How much is in a mineral wagon?
Well done, yeah.
Okay, so it's only
how many planks is the wagon? Is it fitted? Or is it unfitted?
Olton Hall could actually do it.
Also, I want to circle back to the water thing for a second and just give a PSA, because every single day there's a post on r/Derail Valley about somebody blowing up a demonstrator because they didn't put enough water in it before trying to fire it up.
Yep.
It takes 2 tender loads minimum.
Yeah, that is one thing that is not realistic about Derail Valley, which I think is fine that they've gamified for the sake of the game, is that the tender capacity and the tank capacities are lower. I mean, on the tank engine, it's one thing, you have less water, but the typical general rule is you have twice the water in your tender than you do in your boiler, minimum.
At least, yeah.
That is the general rule. It's not always true, but
91 has almost 4 times as much.
No, she's 2,800 gallons if you fill her to the gills.
Oh, I thought she was 1,500 gallons.
No, she's 2,800.
Okay.
So, and then 6K in the tender. So she's actually pretty close to the rule. Yeah. Ask me, I know, when you fill 91 and her tender from the water tower doesn't shut off anymore because you've drained all 9,000 gallons of it.
There's nothing left in the water tower.
Yeah, there's nothing to seat the valve. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
So to the vote, it's the AC9. Sorry, Britain.
It's the AC9.
Yeah. Okay.
Shock.
Match 27. Here we go. Oh, man.
Reuben!
Have you ever seen a sandwich just thrown, out of Earth's sphere of influence? This sandwich has been thrown into the sun by a superhero.
This is a Reuben versus one of those party sandwiches you used to be able to get at Subway. That was would hang above the counter. You
have one bite of a Reuben left that for some reason you put in the takeout container versus a sandwich for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
The entire team, one sandwich.
One is a Homer Simpson-sized sandwich. The other is not.
Yes. So who would win in a fight? Gee, I don't know. Yes, this is ridiculous and has 10 drivers, but this is ridiculous and has 12 drivers.
I think the point goes to Harriman's $5 footlong.
It really does. Yeah. And unlike Subway, this is actually at least a foot long. Yeah. Which is a better engine for its purpose. You could argue Reuben Wells in terms of a specific singular purpose it being great at, like we talked about last episode. You could argue that.
Probably the 9, just because it's so much more modern.
Well, right. Yeah.
The Reuben is very primitive. It fulfilled its purpose, but it's very primitive by comparison.
If you give points for its context within its era, I think you could actually give that point to the Reuben.
I think you could.
But
I'm
looking at the
actually gonna
two
agree
as
with that
objective things.
right, but
It's like
now
1868, whatever, like 25,000 pounds of tractive effort. That thing was
a lot.
unit.
There was.
many humans lived and died between when this engine started and when this engine was built. Like that's what, 80, almost 80 years of difference. Like, yeah, that's a little crazy. Which one's more cursed? It's Reuben.
Yes.
Wait a
Like,
minute.
this is somewhat cursed, but
80
this
years,
is
80 years of difference. This is like an F unit to a GEVO.
not even like that's not even long enough. That's only
No.
60. That's only like 60 or
This is-
70 years.
No, the FTs were 39.
Yeah, 39, and the first GEVO was 2000.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because the GE's numbering schema, like a -9, meant it was built in the 90s. A -8 meant it was built in the 80s. The EVO series started in the 2000s.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So, yeah, so even then, you've only got 61 years. So you're talking about locomotives being built today, like right now, to an FT, is the same as the 9000 to the Reuben.
Kitty.
Oh my god, we got Lily! Hi, kitty! Can we get a meow wow? Meow wow?
No, we can't.
No
we
meow
want to
wow.
be we want to be put down.
Well, you know,
We are
camera shy.
displeased.
We want scratches, and that's all.
You love me,
You know
daddy.
what? That's not the only visitor that just came into the goddamn room. Hi.
Hi, look, we got a little doggo. Hi, doggo.
Lafayette.
Lafayette.
Oh, here. He's like, "That's that."
Huh? Oh, hang on. I can activate your dog.
Oh,
Got him. Yep. Anyway, why would you pick either one? If I was in the 1860s and I had a hill, I would pick Reuben. If I was in any other situation, literally ever, I would pick the 9000.
Yep.
And would Brett fit in the locomotive? Probably, maybe. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
And it
Ellis.
doesn't, it's got a convertible cab.
all right, stats.
Stats.
Well, don't forget, Reuben was a convertible locomotive. They turned it into an Oido for a while.
That is true.
Into a mud digger.
Well, then they wouldn't have had a water pump. Unless they moved.
They just
Yeah,
put
I
a
wonder what they did
longer
with that.
main rod on the water pump.
Right.
Anyway, so this actually might be the largest route so far. 25 points versus 12 in favor of the UP 9000
Ouch.
class. Who could have seen this coming?
Everyone was shocked.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Reuben wins all the weight stats except, or no, sorry, no, including tender loaded weight. It doesn't have one. Loses for the fuel. Actually, here's a fun comparison. Tender water capacity for the 9000 class is 18,000 gallons. Tender water capacity for the Reuben Wells is 1,800 gallons. So there's that.
That tracks. I'm actually kind of surprised it has that much, honestly. 1,800 gallons. I mean, they're big side
Big
tanks like
Googler
that.
pour.
But yeah. They extruded and they accidentally hit a 0 in SolidWorks and went, yeah, why not?
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay.
The Reuben Wells sneaks the tubes point, and then 9000 gets everything else.
Yeah,
including the
because
fact
guess
that
what?
it's
This is
repeated.
anything this modern was all flues and then tubes where, you could fit one in for the funny. Yeah.
Well, actually, the 9000 class is mostly tubes.
Is it really?
It still has a.
I guess it's
Let me just refresh and
early
make sure.
enough, but
Nothing suspicious here. Yeah, it's 222 tubes.
oh wow. Yeah, I guess
And
it's
then-
not that modern.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was built in 1926. Yeah.
Right. So it's
What's funny
K36
is-
vintage. Yeah, basically.
Unless there's a typo here, are they both the same size? I might have typoed something on here. Not that it makes a difference.
Right.
But yeah, so that's your statistical analysis there.
Okay, well, shall we watch the sandwich be thrown into the sun? 9,000.
9,000.
Reuben.
Just because your vote
Congrats.
didn't matter, you provincial
Can I make
putz.
an argument for Reuben?
No, into the sun. Next matchup.
I
The
really
argument, I'm hungry.
liked the corned beef. Yes. Anyway.
A, I like corned beef. B, the real reason is everything on Reuben is that we could maintain at the museum. It's not complicated.
9,000 we could I mean, it would be a lot of ton of work, but we could do most of it. It's not that crazy modern. Yes, that water pump is the scariest looking device hanging off a locomotive you've ever seen, but Bernie's just down the street.
It's about.
But also, everything is small.
Yeah,
like everything is.
That is true. I could bench press many of the components on the Reuben Wells. I can't say that about almost anything on the 9000.
No.
But it's the 9000. It's moving on to match 28.
Another quick one.
The Midland versus the 440. Who would win in a fight? G, 1860s or not? Yeah, it's the Midland engine, which was a better engine for its purpose.
That's hard to argue.
That's arguable, I guess.
It's hard to argue against a 440. They were just
right
for their era. They were fantastic. Do literally anything machines.
They got the formula right.
There's a reason really did. They were the American standard. Like, it makes sense
for so many years too. The American standard for basically 50 years.
Right. Which one's more cursed? Arguably, the Midland engine because the double pumps and the
Midland engine.
Why would you pick either one? Former dreams of sailing past Dusty's parents' house and Bucket.
Yes.
And then former dreams of going across the country and only having the locomotive break 3 3/4 times.
Nailed
it. So
just like that.
Yep. And then would Brett fit in the locomotive? Yes. And it's not a Baldwin standard cab, so we can't rule it out. But that guy looks like he would bang his head or at least his tulpa. So
I don't know. Just put a hinged cab roof on the Black Fox and it'll be fine.
It's fine.
It's the Lily Bell.
Pretty much. Okay, Ellis, give us the stats here.
By the stats. All right, and it just keeps getting worse. With the numbers that we have for both of these, again, considering the fact that we're missing a couple things for the Midland engine, and the stats for 149 are best guesses in a lot of cases, but at least it's a full sheet.
Right.
The Midland terminal engine wins 21 points to 8.
Unsurprising.
Yep. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Of note, they're both non-superheated.
Right.
One of them like
both
the other
soaks.
One,
Ew.
Yeah.
That looks too modern to be a soak, but all right.
They both have 2-inch tubes. So that's another little thing in comparison.
But these might be made out of copper.
Boiler pressure on 149
is heat transfer.
120.
Wow.
Which is
doing a whole hell of a lot with that.
It gets you about 10,000 pounds of tractive effort given the 16 by 24 cylinders, as mentioned before. The Midland engine has about 4 times that much tractive effort, because it has 190 pounds of boiler pressure. And that's pretty much all the interesting stuff. I mean, this might be the largest gap in terms of age that we've had on this bracket.
Right.
The 149 was built by Schenectady in 1868, which is a year that seems to come up a lot.
No, the last one was the biggest gap.
Oh, was it?
Reuben in the 9000?
No, because that was 1926. You know what? Here's the kicker. The Midland terminal engine is recorded in this document as being rebuilt by the shops because they gave it the thing, and they did that in 1944.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but as built, okay.
Yeah. Not like it makes a difference.
Well, on to the vote. I'm going to vote for the Black Fox because it's got a pretty mural of a pretty lady on the side of the headlight. Just to foist one of you into a perilous position, or maybe not.
Terminal, I made my vote. Brett, you're under the bus.
Midland Terminal, I made my vote.
There you go. All right,
well, the Midland carries on.
The American is really cool, but the Midland engine is neat.
Yeah, the Midland engine's objectively the right choice. Okay, now Ellis needs to regroup and make some slides.
No, it's good. We're good.
We're good?
Right on through.
Oh, wow.
Match 29. And now we get to watch Montezuma be thrown into the sun by AC9.
Oh, man.
Who would win in a fight? If we thought that Montezuma couldn't pull a Van Swer engine, it's not pulling this thing with less roller bearings and approximately, a couple 100,000 more pounds.
Which means no.
Move the cast pilot on the ground.
No.
Yeah, it wouldn't track the cast pilot. Better engine for its purpose, AC9. Which one's more
AC9.
cursed? AC9, technically, I
Yeah,
guess?
AC9.
Still,
AC9.
Montezuma is aesthetically perfect.
Why would you pick either one? I would pick this one if I wanted to be able to build a full-size locomotive to say that I built a full-size locomotive and do it in a garage and not an actual shop facility.
But if you wanted to have one of these locomotives...
If I wanted to have one of these locomotives, I would still pick this one because I could afford to feed it.
Well, okay, that's fair
This
enough.
one will eat me out of house and home the second I
eat
think of
your
filling
house
the
and
tender
home.
with water, not coal. So, yeah, I mean, if I had a railroad and I had some standard gauge track with broad curves and I had an unlimited boat of money, yeah, I'd have one of these instead.
Yeah.
Because, hell yeah, but
Wouldn't it be nice?
wouldn't it be
You
nice?
considered buying Tennessee Pass.
Yeah, if I owned Tennessee Pass and I had an
Simply do
AC9, I would have to call my doctor after at least 4 hours. Anyway, would Brett fit in this locomotive? Yes. No.
No.
Ellis, give us the stats, I guess.
Yeah, all right.
What's it look like, Doctor?
This is less bad than the last one, and mostly because we have a more complete stat sheet to play with. 3811 wins 25-13. Really, no surprise
Not quite
there.
double,
Is
but
there-
you know.
Is there anything that Montezuma wins at that isn't weight related?
Other than the cheeky heating ability point with the tubes being smaller. No.
Does she have more tubes than the AC9?
Yes, and they're
Hey, we've
1.5
got
inches
something.
instead of 2 and 2.5.
Right.
I will throw in this stat, which is the one that I created to get up to the round number of 40 stats total. ET's weight computation, which is how much of your weight is on your drivers, how much of your engine weight is on your drivers. Obviously,
Montezuma's going to win that
well,
because lead truck shrug versus
Yeah,
all
so-
of the
it's 81% versus 77% Montezuma versus the AC9. So it
We have
wins
better
that
weight
one.
distribution than an
Yeah.
AC9.
Oh, well, I got one more for you. It
Uh-oh.
wins Builder. Baldwin is above Lima in the list.
That's kind of funny.
Lima.
So-
This right now is it. Once again, we've gone to a meme, but it's a SpongeBob meme of his one little Krabby Patty versus a giant pyramid of patties.
Yeah. Did you order a slider or did you order the world's largest hamburger?
You guys are gonna make me
Order
hungry
it.
again.
If you finish it in an hour, it's free.
Yeah.
Votes AC9.
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 I'm shocked.
By
Sorry,
Montezuma. By little
Into the
Chooch.
sun.
Into the sun with ye. Thrown into orbit. Thrown out of orbit, actually. Round 30. The 9000 versus the Midland Terminal engine. I mean, who would win in a
That's an
fight?
interesting one.
The 9000.
9000.
Who's better engine for the purpose? The 9000.
9,000.
Which one is
Yeah.
more cursed?
The Midland
The
engine.
Midland engine. They have the same amount of air compressor. Exactly the same amount of air compressor between the two of
Ah,
these.
right.
That's quite funny.
What's the pressures on both these engines?
This one's 190, this one's 200 and some change?
220.
220? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you pick either one? I mean,
Midland.
Midland, fun for Colorado dreams. I want this.
Yeah. Same argument as your Montezuma versus the AC9 thing. You could theoretically do something with the 260.
Yes,
Maybe.
but this, no, not so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, again,
No.
if I owned Tennessee Pass and I had a 9000,
And you had a really big track straightener.
I would consult a civil engineer named Leighton Moreland about curvature and maybe consider making it a 5 or a 4 blind driver locomotive.
My answer would be no.
You're going to take the hub liners and you're going to make them this thick.
Yeah, the 9000 runs on Tennessee Pass, and then it sees the tunnel portal, and then it really sees the tunnel portal.
And then
as
the
it's-
branch pipe does this.
Yes. The branch pipe is turned into an auxiliary blowdown and nothing else. Yeah. Would Brett fit in this locomotive? Presumably yes in this case.
Yes and yes.
God, I see how this is stacking up, and I'm really mad about what the final's going to be, because that's going to be almost impossible for me, I think. But anyway, Ellis, give us the stats.
Because
Why
of
not?
violence.
I will let you know that because of the missing stuff, it's not as big of a gap as it could be, but it's still an 8-point gap.
Okay.
18 points for the 9000 class and 10 points for the Midland engine.
Yep.
I don't know what there is to say that's really fun here. I mean, UP just the 9000 just demolishes it in like every stat that matters.
How many S155s did they build?
80
A lot.
As far as I can tell, not as many as you'd expect.
I'd never heard of an S155 before this.
They're not
actually.
as much as the S1s or the S100s or the S160s.
Yeah.
But weren't a lot of those built for export?
Not as many as you'd think. Because they're American loading gauge.
Yeah, that'd do
I
it.
didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
So really, the real answer is, which locomotive do you pick? Does your railroad have an curve? Pick this one. Does it not? Pick this one.
For that reason, I think I'm going to pick the Midland engine. I think it's more useful.
9,000. 9,000, Leighton Moreland. Don't you even do this to me. You're going to make the final really easy if you pick the Midland engine. I'm just saying.
Hey, we're not supposed to. It's like a judicial thing. Like if you're a judge making a ruling, you're not supposed to think about how this affects other things. But I'm not held to that same ethical standard. I'm going with the 9,000.
Okay, fair enough.
In my heart of hearts, I want the Midland Terminal engine.
Yeah.
But also Hulk Smash.
Yeah. If we could have one of these at the museum, oh my god. Come on. If we had a standard gauge loop, if we had one of these, holy balls, that would be cool. If we had a standard gauge loop, we would just laugh at this.
No. Dream bigger dreams. Standard gauge loop. We'll just go to Coors and back.
Okay, yeah, no, that would work. That would work great.
We'll run to Golden and back.
Okay, well, with that, Ellis, I guess I must reload the slideshow or you're finishing slides. One of the two.
Yeah, I already threw it in there before you guys finished talking. I kind of figured how this was going to go, but you probably do still have to reload the slideshow.
Yep. Here's our last round, and having seen everything at the beginning, I didn't imagine that this was how it would go. I didn't think about the tournament logic or anything, but the fact that we have these two things, I hate this choice. I hate having to choose. These are two of the coolest locomotives of all time. You can't go right, but you can't go wrong at this point. So, who would win in a fight? The AC-9.
AC-9.
Which was a better built engine for its purpose. I don't know. How many AC-9s did they make versus...
I think there were only like 10.
Yeah, not 80 something.
Well, that's 3811. I guess they may not do class designations exactly the same on the SP, but...
Well.
They made 12?
Yeah, there were
okay,
12
well, then...
So that's the last one.
That's the last one. That makes sense, then. Which one's more
Probably
cursed?
the AC-9.
Which one? The AC-9's more cursed?
No, it's the flying pumps and conjugated valve gear.
Yeah, the Gresley gear...
They both got flying pumps.
They both got flying pumps, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
but also streamlined articulated.
Streamlined articulated cursed. Gresley conjugated gear, the
curse,
the spacing of the cranks and the things in the
driving the middle cylinder to the number 2 rather than the number 3 is cursed.
It's mechanically more cursed, visually more cursed. We've repeated that again. Yeah.
I'd say the 9.
Also, it's kind of hilarious. UP engine, not Vanderbilt tender. SP engine with a normal tender? It's very unusual. I'd like to make that point.
Also, it's an SP engine that's a coal burner. This there was a whole weird thing of they were built for a specific. It was actually a subsidiary of the SP that served a mine, and so they got free fuel.
Why would you pick either one? Da-dum, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
It's a race to the bottom here. I love both of them.
I love both of
these engines. The noise would be religious.
On either, yeah.
Yeah, it's in
either
case.
Though I know... These, I don't know what whistle they would have had. Probably a 6. These had Starbrass 5s.
Oh, yeah.
Which out of something like... I mean, it's like big chooch, but like... The violence level of the whistle is accurate to the size and violence of the choo-choo. The pitch is not.
No. you need a Star Brass 5 pitched down like an octave, and then you have a 9000.
Right. Would Brett fit in either locomotive? Yes.
Yes.
Very much yes.
Show us the stats, I suppose, this one last time for this this year's rendition of Mark's Madness. Ellis, please.
I will also say, because I've been wanting to say it this whole time, I came up with the name Mark's Madness after about 30 seconds of staring at my bracket diagram and went, what the hell am I going to call this?
I'm glad. It's perfect. It's kind of like March Madness.
Yeah,
but no.
I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it's been
good.
said so much and truly adopted. Let's talk about
glad to be a part of this plan.
Yeah. I'm happy to be a part of it. Let's do it. So, the 9000 class wins all the weight stats pretty handily.
Sure.
They're both stupid heavy, obviously. It's 800,000 pounds versus 1,000,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The tender water and fuel capacity go to the AC-9 out of that bunch. The AC-9, So, I will say, there's a little caveat here, which is that we're just considering the 9000, which was built in a different batch than all the rest of them, because they just made the 9000, put it out there, and said, check this out. Technically, this is a
really?
UP1.
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a thing.
It's the only UP1, and then the other ones are UP2, UP3, 4, and 5.
Sure. Yeah.
So, as far as this is concerned, 3811 gets the points for numbering class and number built, because this was originally just sort of an experiment that they ended up wanting to build more of.
And then they made 87 more of them.
Yeah, they built a whole lot of them.
I'd be curious to know that this is nerdy aside, and I know one of you that's at Rail Giants that loves this engine, that knows tons about it. DM me. I want to know. What are the differences between the classes?
Yeah, I wonder if there are any, really.
Yeah.
The valve gear would be a tie, except the thing 9000 got gradually conjugated, which is lower than just regular wall shirts.
Yep.
The driver diameter goes to 9,067 versus 63.5, but the AC-9 is a higher boiler pressure at 250 versus 220. High pressure cylinders are both 32 stroke, but 24-inch diameter on the AC-9, 27-inch diameter on the UP engine.
Those are 27 by 34s?
32.
32?
Sorry.
Big bongos.
And there's 3 of them?
They're both
bongos.
Holy balls, Batman.
Well, actually, yeah, the UP 9000 has that third cylinder. Now, I am getting slightly confused here because of the way that these are registered in the thing. Is it 3 high pressure cylinders?
Yes. They're not it's not like the 60,000, it's not compounded. It's 3 high pressure.
Okay, yeah, because this is listed as having 1 low pressure cylinder, which would not be accurate.
Yeah. We're going for power here, not efficiency.
Yeah, it's just because of how Loco-based
I
classifies
need to
everything.
pull Nebraska. The whole thing. The whole Nebraska.
Has the better tractive effort and the better factor of adhesion, but just barely. Factor of adhesion for the 9000 class is 3.66. Factor of adhesion for the AC-9 is 4.31. So it's just slightly closer to 4. Just a couple ticks closer. The AC-9 wins the number of tubes and flues and grade area and heating surface and superheating surface. By 2 square feet, 9000 has a larger firebox area.
Holy shit.
591 versus 589.
It's an inch longer, if that.
Yeah.
Well, they do have the same flue tube length, 22 feet.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Well, the flue tube length has sort of a soft cutoff, because if you make them too long,
right.
They start to...
Yeah.
Speaking of people that need to be cursed, Santa Fe, they tried to do interstitial baffles to support tubes in the middle, and that's why they ended up making the boiler locomotive.
The Deca Pod?
The Deca Pod, yes.
And then they split the power computations. The AC-9 gets the first 3, 9000 class gets the last 2. And it brings us out to 18 points for the 9000 class and 19 points for the AC-9.
considering all the bracket lunacy that went on, these two are fairly reasonably matched.
Right.
Yeah. We task failed successfully into an even race.
We did. Man, that park bench, though. It's hot in the first round.
The park bench is over here like, it should have been me!
The park bench was robbed.
It could have been a winner.
The park bench is at the bottom of the podium with the medal and the champagne, the meme. Yeah. Well, gents, it's off to the vote, and I suppose I'll put the evil on me, Ricky Bobby, if you guys want to start.
I'll go with the 9,000.
I gotta go with the AC9.
Ask and you shall receive, Mark.
The evil has been put on me, Ricky Bobby, and I'd actually already made up my mind for the strict nostalgia factor. Hi, Mom, who's watching this. There is a poster that I did a presentation on using audio from the 9000 in, like, 4th grade. There's a couple poster boards with screenshots from TRS 2004 in my childhood bedroom right now. I have to pick the 9000 for the nostalgia factor alone. The AC9's so freaking cool, but it's the 9. There she is.
Congrats, UP 9000 class. Pop the confetti.
Pop the confetti. Do the thing.
A little confetti thing.
Yeah.
The celebration.
A cat.
1 metric cat of celebration.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Well, holy crap. It's kind of amazing that the finale ended up that way. And I saw it coming from the start of this episode. I was like, oh crap, this is going to be the choice. And I'm glad that I didn't have to... glad we didn't have a huge argument about it. But you really couldn't have gone wrong. You couldn't have gone... Like, there was no wrong answer, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've ruined Ellis's stat of the AC9s beat 125 other engines. I guess the 9000's the one, at least in this crowd. So.
Hey, well, it had
what?
to lose.
9,000?
This, Brady had to retire at some point.
We should have known. What's his power level at? It's over. Yeah.
Brady had to retire at some point, but this engine retired during the Eisenhower administration.
Well, there are some people that wish Brady retired during the Eisenhower administration.
Yeah, hi. I'm not a football person anymore, but Tom Brady. Mr. New England.
Ooh.
I will say, that means the 9000 is going to be one of the 2 legendary cards. I'm not sure if the AC9 will be the other one, but we're going to sit down and figure out what goes where.
It would be a reasonable choice.
True legend is the park bench.
Some of these locomotives... some of these locomotives do not have full stat sheets and have stat sheets that will probably never be full. So I am putting it to the viewers to make as much noise as you feel is necessary about those that got eliminated in the first round to fill the holes. Because we're going to be making 16 cards, maybe 17 cards. And we can't have all 16 from the first round that survived. So,
absolutely. Viewer's choice. Put your 2 cents in the comments down below and let us know. Obviously, this was extremely factual, and the 9000 was the best locomotive ever made, which is why there were 88 of them, and now 87 of them are Honda Civics.
No longer there.
It's fine.
Survival rate in the AC9s.
But if you like this format, you like this thing.
That class of 9000 has 100% survival rate.
That's true. The UP1 has 100. Every single
one survived.
Every single one. The whole thing. That one.
Every single
one. One, yes. If you enjoyed this format, let us know. Maybe we'll do it next March as well, or it might make a great fodder for a live stream. Who knows? It's been lots of fun. Again, huge thank you to Ellis for organizing this, Leighton for the idea. Make sure you check out Admiral Ellis's channel. Ellis, do you have any last plugs before we get out of here?
Other than to check us out at theironhorseman.com about our trading cards, of which these will be joining the ranks. And you can check out us on Discord as well. We run the more formalized version of this called the Loco Games. The trading cards are made for that. And we should be starting up another season sooner or later. I've just been busy with stuff. This is the stuff.
Yeah,
also like getting married or something.
Yeah, something's happening later this year. Yeah, it's fine.
Sooner or later.
And of course, as well, thank you to Brett and Leighton for joining and being the other half to my quarter of a three-quarter of an idiot. And here we are. And thank you all for watching, as always. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye! The 9001! It's over 9,000!